everyone. This is a great soca song.
This is a classic
song. So old school, but I love it. 5 cent, 10 cent dollar. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Trisha Rampersad, the Core.Behavioral Therapist, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast and channel. Today, we have a treat, and I'm very, very proud to present this woman. Her name is Judge Avion Benjamin, and she was just appointed one of New Jersey's Superior Court judges by Governor Murphy himself. So welcome, Judge. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you here. I mean, this is quite the accomplishment especially it's Women's History Month, right? Or right. Women's Month, International Women's Month. And
I'm wearing my women.
I love it. I love it. I like your neck piece too.
Thank you.
Nice, beautiful. So we're going to start off with some questions because I am very proud of you being a Caribbean woman and now a Caribbean American woman, getting to where you're at, and especially you're a Trinidadian woman. And I wanted you to let us know, what was it like? Well, where are you from? And what was it like growing up there?
So I was born in Diego Martin, Trinidad, originally from Diego Martin. I went to school there the first 10 years of my life. I have an older brother raised by a single mother. And, at that time, I thought life was great. I didn't have a worry in the world, went to school, did what I needed to do, came home, played with my friends, ran in the street barefoot, just living life. But all along, my mother was struggling and she wanted more for us, for her children, and decided that she was going to come to America. And I tell everybody, my mother left America when I was 10, my brother was 15, with our dog. We had a dog, Pebbles, may she rest in peace, and got on a plane and came to America with us and her dog in tow, just looking for a better life.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so awesome. That's a lot of people have done exactly what you've done and your family has done, and your mother raised you all. And when you came to America, where did you end up being?
We ultimately ended up in New York. When we first came, I was in Florida for a little bit because my mom and a friend who had 2 girls around the same age as my brother and I, they came together and originally went to Florida. But living in Florida, it was difficult without having transport, getting to and from the job that my mom was able to secure. So we had a family member in New York that told her, well, come to New York, you can stay with us and give it a try. We came to New York. So I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, went to school in the Bronx, went to college, Binghamton, upstate New York. And so the latter part of my years was spent in New York.
Awesome. Awesome. What were your fondest memories growing up in Mount Vernon and the Bronx and going to school in the Bronx in New York? What were your fondest memories there?
I guess, being from Mount Vernon, the Bronx or whatever, public transportation, I would have to take a bus to the number 5 train. Taking a train to school and just still being able to be a kid, right? So I went to high school. I went to St. Catherine's Academy in the Bronx on Pelham Parkway. And that's where I met some of my, closest friends that I'm still friends with today. But just being a child and growing up and, experiencing different things. But that little bit of independence that I felt I had, being able to take the train and go to school on my own, is some of the things that I remember. And, Mount Vernon has its own history. My brother went to school with Heavy D and Puffy and everything like that. Yeah, because my brother's in their same age group. But, at the time, it wasn't, the Puffy and Heavy D
right.
They turned out to be. But, Mount Vernon has had some really, really good gems that came out of Mount Vernon. So
yes, and especially during that time too. Wow, that's history right there. That's hip hop history. Let's go. That's awesome. Okay, Judge Avion, I see. That's so phenomenal. So you grew up in the Bronx and you went to Catholic school.
I did.
You did. I went to Catholic school too, so I have that in common with you. So I get it. I get it. What was your educational path from there on?
So graduated high school in 1994. Yeah, 1994. I first went to college, the University of Maryland at College Park. I got a scholarship to go the first year because they had started a new program that I had applied for and got a full ride to go there my freshman year. So, packed up, went to Maryland, loved it. But at the end of that first year, they decided they wasn't going to continue with this special program that I was in. And I had to start paying the regular tuition, which I could not afford. My mother couldn't afford.
Right.
She said, you have to find another school. We can't do this. So I transferred. I started to look for schools in New York because by then I started to hear that if you go to school in New York, you can get like Pell Grants and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied to Binghamton, upstate New York, Binghamton University. I got in and I didn't see the campus until school started and I went in as a transfer student.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I graduated from Binghamton 1998 and then I went to George Washington University in DC for my law degree.
That's so awesome. Your bachelor's, what was your bachelor's in? This is in case if anyone wants to go to law school and what path do you think that they
I studied political science only because I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. And for the most part, that's kind of the major that they tell you should have.
Yeah.
But I've come to learn that honestly, it doesn't matter what you major in. If you want to go to law school, I don't think it really impacts your ability to get into law school as well as your ability to be a good lawyer. But I majored in political science.
Excellent. That's so awesome. And then you were off to Washington, D.C., to George Washington University, which is also a phenomenal school.
It is, yes.
What was your experience like there?
I loved it.
Cool.
I loved every minute of it. Just being in DC, I lived in Foggy Bottom. So I was able to, walk to classes. But DC, just overall, DC was a nice experience. And, looking back, if I could do it over again, I probably would have stayed in DC after I graduated from law school. Just to still be able to have that experience and live in that area. But I was homesick. And once I graduated from law school, it's like, I'm coming back to New York. I don't want to be down here.
Yes, it's very different going to school out of state when you're a New Yorker and, leaving it all behind. There is no place like New York for sure.
Absolutely not.
For sure. During your experience going to school, like in Catholic school and what have you, getting your bachelor's and your Juris Doctorate, being an attorney, did you experience any racism? So
when we first came to coming to America, the class that I went in, I got in, I think it may have been 5th grade, again, elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I was teased because I had an accent when, we first came here. So I remember being teased for how I would pronounce certain words. One that always sticks out in my mind is that I would always, for saying the number 3, I used to say tree. Right. And they would tease me about that. So in the beginning, those things didn't necessarily bother me, and I don't think it was racism, but there was she's different. She talks different. She's not from here, so I had to get used to that. And sadly, a part of getting used to that was I didn't want to talk Trini anymore, right? I wanted to sound American. So I would practice more to sound how American sounded so that I wouldn't stand out. Mm-hmm. High school, by the time I got to high school, I had a good self-confidence in myself that I wouldn't say I necessarily experienced any type of racism in high school. And my high school was a mixed high school. We had Black, white, Latino, so it was a pretty mixed school. And once I got to college, I think is where I noticed it was less people that looked like me as opposed to more. And definitely once I was in law school, You know, I could count on one hand how many people looked like me in my law school classes.
Right. So you were the minority in your law school. Wow. But you mentioned that you made friends.
I did, and one of my closest friends, we went to Binghamton together, and we ended up going to law school together.
Oh,
So
that's
credit a lot of finishing law school to her, that we had each other, because there were many a days, I'm going back home. I don't want to do this, you know. But we kind of pushed through it together because we had each other. But I think it's hard, and you know, it still happens today when you feel like you don't belong. And that was an experience that sadly I had to get used to. And even when I graduated law school and started my legal career, I would walk into a courtroom and be the only Black woman in the courtroom.
Wow.
You know, so it still happens today.
Well, now you're a judge. So
Right.
let's not forget that. But no, you actually you hit the nail on the head. If you're walking into the courtroom and you're the only Black woman there, let alone a Trinidadian woman, American woman there too. I mean, it's got to feel some kind of way, you know.
It does, and you know, I would be mistaken many a times, whether it was in court or going to depositions or other court proceedings. Either I was the court reporter or I was the client. Never when I walked into the room was the thought by other people that would see me that, well, she's the lawyer. She's the one that's representing her clients. It's always, oh, okay, I didn't know you were the lawyer. Okay, you may not have known I was the lawyer, but why you had to assume that I was the court reporter or the client, you know?
Right.
And it's disheartening. And sometimes I feel people, it's unconscious. You know, they don't realize that they're doing it.
Right.
That just goes to what their thinking is, and the fact that there's so few of us in the field that, well, she can't be a lawyer, right?
Right. Well, I mean, this is why I wanted to have you on, because it's just so inspiring that someone who came from literally an island, a dot on the map, you know, literally a dot, Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad is literally
right at the tip of Venezuela. Yeah.
Yes, that's how I describe it to people. Where they're like, "Where your family from?" You know, they're from Trinidad. It's off the coast of Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
The dot on the map. Just go look. Google it. Just Google it. But yes, but for you to come from such humble beginnings, like walking in the barefoot and all that other stuff, you know, and bringing pebbles and your whole family and your mom bringing you. That's just, I'm a dog lover too, so you know. So you know how. So you became appointed judge, right? And thank you for sharing that. By the way, that was pretty vulnerable of you to share what it was like to be a Black woman in the courtroom. Can you talk about your process, about how you became judge, how you were appointed as a judge, a New Jersey Superior Court judge?
Sure.
Be exact.
So in New Jersey, you know, states vary. Like in New York, people run to become judges in certain districts. But in New Jersey, you get nominated by the governor and you have to be confirmed by the Senate. So he can nominate you, but if you're not confirmed by the Senate, you're not going to become a judge. So I was nominated by Governor Murphy twice, actually. It was September of 2019, I believe. I got my first nomination, but you know, things take time. And what happened is the Senate session ended before they brought me on a calendar. And when that happens, all the nominations basically come off the table and they have to happen again. So then Governor Murphy nominated me again a second time, February 2020. And I went before the Senate last October, and they voted to confirm me. It was a unanimous vote for them to confirm me. But the process itself takes time because there's several steps. Where you live, depending on the county where you live in, you have to have the consent of all the senators in your county. They have to give the green light. Okay, yes, we want this person as well to be a judge. Once they do that, then you meet with different like bar associations, because they're involved as well, to be able to see, is this a person that, you know, is going to be fair? So they have to give kind of thumbs up as well until you reach that final step. So it was definitely a journey. And even before the nomination itself, it was steps, you know. So I tell people this, you know, when it happened, it's not something that happened overnight. It definitely took some time. And there were many times where I would think, I don't know if this is going to happen, you know, because it was one of those, you made 2 steps forward and then something happened, and not necessarily personal to me, but just, you know, politics in general and how things work, that you're not sure what the next step is going to be. But
Right.
my same girlfriend that went to law school with me, you know, while I would talk to her about the process, she always used to say to me when things would happen, she was like, it's delayed, but you're not denied. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I love that. It's delayed, but it's not denied. It's going to happen.
And
Oh, that's going to be my new mantra. I love it.
And that's what she used to tell me. And so, you know, and her words came to fruition. It was delayed. And, you know, over the course of this journey, I definitely increased in my faith. And it's all in God's timing. You know, we have plans for ourselves, but He has plans too. And nothing is going to happen until He's ready for it to happen. And
Exactly.
I'm so grateful that it happened when it did, because I feel like my story is in the middle of a pandemic where, you know, we were on lockdown and people were losing their lives and loved ones and stuff like that, that there was still some good things happening, and God was still in the blessing business. And He truly, truly blessed me last year.
I'm so happy for you. I mean, it's all in God's timing. Like you said, He orders our steps, right? Sometimes we want things now, and then He's like, no, I got it for you.
Right,
But
right.
just wait, be patient.
Yep.
And in the middle of a pandemic, I mean, that's like a miracle. I mean, a promotion, getting a job, keeping a job, you know, during the pandemic, it's pretty.
Yeah, no, it was. It really, really was. And I'm glad, you know, with you reaching out to me through your sister and everything, that is something that I can share with people. And, you know, from when we first spoke, I told you, I'm proud of where I'm from. And anytime that I can put Trinidad and Tobago on the map for people to see what great things are coming out of Trinidad and Tobago, I'm all for it.
I'm 100%. My sister Ria did tell me about you, and she was just as excited, and she reached out to you. So shout out to my sister Ria.
Thank you, Ria.
She'll love that. You said, you know, what kept you? It was a waiting process for you, but I can only imagine, like, what did you do to unwind? I hear that you had your faith, you had your friends. What did you do to help chill, to help you, you know, just to be patient, and because it can take a toll on you emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, it can break you many a times, because you know what you want, you know you're qualified for certain things, and the fact that what is to come to you really lies in the hands of other people is sometimes a difficult pill to swallow. But my faith definitely had a lot to do with it. I spent a lot of time journaling. I love to write. And I don't remember if I had told you, when we were talking with this whole process, there was a journal entry that I had in my journal from back in, I think it may have been like 2016, just talking about, you know, what my future is going to hold. And I wrote in my journal that I'm claiming I'm going to be on the bench by the time I'm 44 years old. And it happened while I was still 44 years old, right? And that the fact that I had wrote that almost 4 years ago and was able to go back and read it, and now that I was living it,
right?
You know, it kind of gave me chills. But that definitely
out of my mouth. It just gave me chills. I was like, what? So you wrote it down. Let's rewind. You wrote it down in your journal that I'm going to be on the bench. Basically, you're going to be a judge, and it's going to happen. And you put the age.
I said by the time I'm 44 years old, 2016. That was one of my journal entries in 2016.
And it happened. Oh my goodness. That's all I can say. Oh my goodness. Talk about manifestation. Talk about God. You know, that's just pretty awesome. I kind of practice some of that kind of logic too. And I believe in the power of writing things down and believing in it, praying over it. That's just my belief. And it will come into fruition, like you
It
said.
will, it will. And one of the things too that I found throughout this whole process, because, I grew up Catholic. I was raised in a Catholic church, going to church every Sunday. I've always had my faith. But as I've gotten older, I searched more just to have a relationship with God and being able to listen to him, and talk to him. But one of the things this journey has taught me is that you have to be specific about what you want in life. And I use this as that test, so to speak, because again, going back to me journaling and praying and talking, I was very specific about what I wanted. And it happened. And I know it happened because of God.
That's so beautiful. That's so inspiring too. You came, that's so inspiring that you had this faith and this hope and this belief. There's probably so many young girls out there, young brown and Black girls, what have you, out there, women of color who are going to admire your accomplishments and everything that you've been through, and also from single family households. Can you speak to that, about what it was like for you? Because look at your accomplishments,
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you said, I came from humble beginnings. Even when we came, to New York, my mom was cleaning houses when we first got here before she found a job like in the hotel industry, and then, flourished from there. But I didn't have examples growing up of people like in the legal field or anything like that. But I had a mother that worked hard and
Right.
wasn't afraid of hard work. And she instilled that in my brother and I, that listen, you have to work hard. And sadly, not only as immigrants, but as Black immigrants, we're going to have to work twice as hard in this country, because people are going to judge you or discriminate against you because of the color of your skin, but also because you're not from here.
Right.
And that was something that, we knew growing up, that we always had to do better than everybody else. And I think because I grew up with that work ethic, that continued right through school. And even once I started working in the legal field, I always wanted to be better than everybody else. And I never wanted anyone to ever test or be able to say she wasn't prepared or she didn't know what she was doing. And I think that also helped with the reputation that I built for myself here in New Jersey in the legal community, that I was a lawyer that was always prepared and gave it my all every time I walked into a courtroom or handled a case. But Trisha, that's my mother. I am my mother's child. And,
Beautiful.
I tell her all the time, but for her setting that example, I don't know, where I would be. And I have 2 children, but I have a daughter, she's 13. And I try to instill those things in her. My son as well, I tell them all the time, work hard, don't complain, because life could be so much worse. There are children in this world that don't have 2 parents in the household, or don't know what they're going to eat tonight. I said, and I tell my children, you're blessed. You have both of your parents in the house. You want for nothing. You probably have too much. But, don't complain, because life can be so much harder, and just work hard. If you work hard and you keep the faith, which I've instilled in my children, nothing but good things are going to come to you. And I think that's what I would share for any of the young people listening, or even older people that are still trying to figure out what to do with their life. Just work hard and stay humble. That's one of the biggest things for me right now in this position. And so many people have told me, don't let this road define who you are or change who you are. I'm still Avion Monique Natasha Benjamin. Yes, they call me judge now, but the person I was before I got confirmed as a judge is the same person I am today. But I just hope to be better and do more in this role that I've been placed in terms of being an example to so many people.
Beautiful. That's so inspiring. That's beautiful. My gosh. I mean, the strength and everything that, how your mom prepared you, and you're instilling all of these values into your kids. It's just awesome. And what stood out to me too is when you put that robe on, don't let it define you. And how you work so hard. You went above and beyond, like over 100% to stand out and building that reputation. It's just, those are some key things on how to be successful. And the fact that you're humble too. It's just, it's pretty awesome.
That's key. Humility is key, because you never want people to ever feel that you feel that you're better than anybody else. And I don't think that about myself. I'm proud of who I am and all the things that I've accomplished, but I don't think that I'm better than you or anybody else. I'm just grateful for what I have and what I'm doing, and I want to keep doing it and be really, really good at it. I want that to be my legacy. I tell my children all the time, I'm not going to always be here. We all have a date and time when it's our time to go. And I want whatever that comes, that when people talk about me, it will be nothing but, she did the damn thing. She was a good mother.
Did the damn thing.
She was a good daughter. She was a good wife. She was a good judge. That's what I want my legacy to be when I leave this earth.
I believe it's gonna happen. I believe. I mean, you're already doing it. I mean, during COVID too. So you have a family and you're working in COVID, right? How do you cook? Do you cook? You do. What do you cook for your family? If you, I know, I'm not trying to be gender based or anything. I asked the person to cook.
I have a husband that cooks too. So
that's very good.
But I do, my mom, shout out to my mother. Everybody call her Miss Wendy. Nobody can cook like my mother. I'm not as good as her, but I try. But, I do have a big skill. So I'm big, Sunday lunch, as they would say back home, is big in my house. I cook all the traditional stuff, macaroni pie, stewed chicken, callaloo, the things that I grew up eating. I still give that to my children. And, some days you're going to get spaghetti and meatballs. Because that's quick and easy. But I cook, and I love to cook. And I think, again, with my children, with my daughter and even my son, teaching them how to cook, because I want both of them to be self-sufficient and be able to take care of themselves when they're on their own and not necessarily have to depend on somebody else. So it gives me the opportunity to teach them certain things. Last weekend, I think it was last weekend, I made curry chicken, curry shrimp, and roti. I
make everybody hungry with
right. Roti is one of my favorite foods. I could eat roti all day, every day, but it takes so much work to make it. I don't cook it too often, but every once in a while I'll make the sacrifice. So I think I made that last Sunday. I was tired of the normal Sunday food, so I made that last Sunday. But I cook and have no problems doing it. I like cooking.
So cool. That's so cool. I love roti. I love fried chicken and roti. My mom's a mean cook. She can cook. Like, that woman can cook.
Yeah.
They say in Trini, they have the hand to cook.
Yeah.
So, when we talked, you told me you are a U.S. citizen. So you are Trinidadian American. You are a Caribbean American. Do you remember, can you tell us about the day that you became a U.S. citizen and
Sure.
experience?
So funny. I got my citizenship the same year that I graduated from law school, which is crazy.
Wow.
But I had filled out, all my papers and stuff for my citizenship in Washington, D.C., did the interview in Washington, D.C., and then it was shortly after I graduated. I got sworn in the city, in New York City. I remember going to the courthouse. There was a good bit of people that went in, and we took the oath and everything like that. And I remember thinking, oh wow, I'm now a citizen of the United States.
You're American.
After being here for so long, so it was good. It was good. But even though I am a U.S. citizen and I'm happy to be a U.S. citizen, I have 2 children that were born here that are American. I will always be Trini to the bone.
Trini to the bone. Trini to the bone. That's the truth. That's the truth. You can take the girl out of Trinidad, but you can't take the Trini out of the girl. That's for sure.
Exactly.
That's so cool. And true. Wow, it's awesome. I'm just so inspired by you. Everything about you is just like making me feel hopeful. You know, you got appointed during a pandemic and during all these racial injustices where some people were being awoken. And that's just so, so powerful. Um, what's it like for you to work as a judge during COVID and during this time? I know everything is virtual now, so I can only imagine what it's like to be a judge during this time.
Yeah, it's different, that's for sure. And it's a learning curve. I'm assigned to the family division in
Okay.
the county where I work, and my entire legal career was all civil. So I don't have any experience in family law. So it's a learning curve for me, which I'm happy about because I like learning new things.
Yeah.
Learning, but you add that to the fact that everything is virtual, it's an experience, and it definitely takes a lot of patience. You
Yeah.
know, I most days I'm saying your microphone is muted. I can't hear you. I think your picture is frozen. Are you still there? You know?
That's got to be the quote for
Yeah,
during
for
you're
2020,
on mute.
2021, you're on mute.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, but in every challenge, I think there's something to be learned from it and something good that's going to come out of it. And how I look at it is I'm learning to be a judge, a new judge, through a pandemic where everything is virtual. It's not how things normally are, but it is still allowing me that opportunity to learn, I would say, at a slower pace versus if we were actually in court, because even though we're open and we're taking cases, we're taking less cases because we're doing things virtually. What should last 10 minutes might last 45 minutes because of technical difficulties and things of that nature. So my cases are less now because we're doing it virtually. And I find that to be a blessing in disguise, because once we do reopen and go back, I would have learned, everything that I needed to know and be more comfortable as a judge, that now that people are coming into the courtroom, I'll be ready to go. That's how I look at it. So is it challenging? Yes, but I think I'm going to come out on the winning side once we open back and go back to normal. And
Yeah.
who knows what normal is going to look like.
Yeah, no one knows. And what a learning experience you're having, like virtual. I mean, and a new position, nothing can prepare, like you said, you're set. Pretty much. Your mother must be so proud of you. What's her name? Mama Wendy? Mother
Miss
Wendy?
Wendy.
Miss
Mm-hmm.
Wendy. Your mom what was your mom's reaction when she found out about
She
all?
was, when I first told her that it looks like this was going to happen, she was excited. But my mother is a praying mother, and she said, I'm just going to pray. And she's one of those don't count your eggs before it hatch
Right.
type of person. So she just kept it to herself until it finally happened. And when it did, like for my swearing in ceremony, I couldn't have a big swearing in ceremony because of COVID, so I was limited. But my mother was there, and my mother put my robe on after I took the oath.
Oh my gosh,
And
that's so
yeah,
sweet.
I just remember,
I'm about to lose it. Are you serious?
yeah, right.
I'm about to cry. Oh my gosh, for real? Oh.
So, I'm crying, right? And she's telling me, it's so funny because she says to me, stop crying, you're such a cry baby. Mind you, she's crying.
Just trying to tell you not to cry. Oh my gosh.
But I told her, when I gave my speech at my swearing in, that, but for her setting that example and all the hard work that she did, I wanted her to know that this is more a reflection of her than really me and what I did, because she set that bar, she set that standard. And I was just, and I didn't think I was gonna cry with you today, Trisha. But I think, I'm so grateful that she was still alive to see it. My mom is 71 years old. I mean, she's healthy and everything like that. But again, I know we're getting to that point where, our parents are getting older and, they're not going to be here forever. But I was just so glad that she was still alive and able to see it, to know that whenever she closes her eyes, she can rest well knowing that she did a great job raising her children.
That's beautiful. That's, our mothers, they grew up very humbly. My mom, she sold chicken in the market, in Chaguanas Market. So, and, I could totally relate to you, because when I
My
graduated.
mother worked in a red house in Trinidad.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It didn't happen like that. I could totally, like, when I graduated, the same thing. I didn't have a big graduation or anything, but once I did my dissertation proposal and stuff, and I passed, my mother cried too, so it's a human reaction, but it speaks to how your mother raised you, how our mothers raised us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, they're from a dot on the map. That's where they're from.
Right. Yep.
To make it in New York City and New Jersey too is quite the testament and accomplishment. There's so much stuff going on, so much gender violence happening in Trinidad, right? With
yes.
women and young girls, and that's a big passion of mine. So for them and for me and for others to see you thrive like this and to be in such a position, it just really brings so much hope. It just brings that women are more than just an object or just something to just toy around or to physically abuse or anything. Like, you're showing that women are beautiful people who are intelligent, who can make it, and you're showing a new light, like a different side for other young girls who will be inspired by this and want to be just like you.
I appreciate that. And with you bringing up what's going on back home, it hurts me to see the things that are happening to women back in Trinidad. Being a woman from Trinidad, knowing that I still have family in Trinidad, young cousins, that for what's happening right now, we could get a phone call that it's one of them. And I often wonder, what can I do, being here, if anything, to help, because sometimes you just feel so helpless, and, sometimes you feel guilty. And I'll share that. Sometimes I feel guilty, like I made it out. I got the opportunity to be here, but, so many of them don't. And not to say that you can't stay in Trinidad and be successful and have a great life in Trinidad. I'm not saying that, but, it's hard. And I often think about it. My mom and I have had this conversation. Where would I be today if we didn't come here? I often think about that.
That's real. That's real. It's very real. And, Trinidad is a beautiful country. It's just unfortunate what is happening there. We have great things like Carnival, like we missed it this year because of COVID and what have you. But this is, I think, just you talking about it and me, us bringing it out. It sheds awareness.
Right.
People need to know about what's happening in the Caribbean, especially in Trinidad. So I appreciate you talking to me about that. When this is all over, are you going to Carnival?
My hotel is already booked for next.
Yes! Queen! Let's go! You already booked your hotel for Carnival in Trinidad.
I'm already booked at the Hyatt, so fingers crossed.
Nice.
2022 will be good to us, because I didn't go last year because of everything because last year they got to have it right before the shutdown, but I didn't plan to go last year because I knew everything may have happened with me and getting the judgeship, so I didn't want to risk not being here.
Right.
Because a part of the process is they don't really give you notice when you get that phone call that you have to go to training. So I didn't want to take that chance and be in Trinidad. So I didn't plan for last year. And then to know that it was canceled this year. So that makes 2 years in a row that I haven't been back home for Carnival. And I don't know if I'm going to survive if we 3 years. So fingers crossed that we'll be able to be in Trinidad next year for Carnival. That's my therapy.
After all of this, I'd like to do the same thing, actually. I think you deserve it.
Yes,
absolutely.
We all deserve it. We all deserve it. It's therapy. Somebody sent me something the other day. I don't know it looked like it was a show in another state. I'm not exactly sure, but the woman, she's American, and I guess she went to Trinidad for Carnival. It may have been last year for the first time. But just hearing her describe it, I was just so tickled by it because she, was explaining to everybody, like, she had the best time, like the experience, the people, the food, everything. And when I tell people that, it's just really hard to explain it. And all I say is you have to experience it.
Yeah.
And once you experience it, you will go back every year if you could afford it.
It's fun. It's and to play mass and wear the costumes and stuff. Yeah, it's therapy and the same experience. I have friends and Americans who have gone down there and they love it.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely love it. But yeah, we definitely missed out on a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff this past year, and you deserve to have fun. And after everything you've been through, and your accomplishments, I'm just really, really so proud of you. And on behalf of the Caribbean, and behalf of Trinidadians, Trini Americans like yourself, we're so proud of you, Judge Avion
Thank you.
Benjamin.
Thank you so much, Trisha. And I just want to say to you, life works in mysterious ways because, but for this happening, I wouldn't have been able to meet you. And I'm glad that I did. And now I'm aware of you and your podcast that I can continue to follow you because what you're doing as well is just so awesome. And you should be commended for that, continuing to put us on the map, but as well as providing that, therapy in a sense of, I want to thank you for that.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I think people like us bringing awareness and helping heal the world one day at a time, or touch people is very, very important. And I'm really proud of you, and thank you for that. Thank you. I'm glad we met. I'm really glad we met.
I am too.
But I really am. I want to thank you for being on my podcast and channel, and go kick butt. Go kick some royal.
That will be the plan. That will be the plan. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Continue to do your stuff as well. And this won't be the last. I'll probably see you in effect or on the road or something.
Definitely. We'll get coffee soon or something. Well, thanks everyone for listening. This is Dr. Trisha Rampersad, the Core.Behavioral Therapist, and we just met with one of New Jersey's Superior Court judges, Judge Avion Benjamin. So have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.